being dismantled.
There's been a further 8 COVID-19 deaths and 448 new cases. 109 patients are in hospital with the disease, 34 of which are in ICU. The 5-day moving average of new cases is now 426, down from 445 this day last week. And house prices in Dublin are almost double what they were at their lowest point in 2012, while there's been a 90% increase in 8 years outside the capital. Residential property prices rose 3.7% nationally in the year to the end of March, according to the latest CSO figures. The cost of renting has also doubled in the last decade. In the Dáil, Taoiseach Micheál Martin and Labour leader and former Housing Minister Alan Kelly got into a political blame game.
But Deputy Kelly, you were a member of the government at the time that welcomed in the investment funds. You did.
You've some cheek to come in here and talk like that without reflecting on your own history and what you sat beside and who you sat beside as decisions were made to destroy this country for generations.
That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. We're listening to customers so we can improve our services.
Mainly dry tonight with some isolated showers in the west and northwest. Lowest temperatures of 2 to 6 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette. Put your best face forward with our new and improved razors.
This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're very welcome along to this evening's show. Good one lined up for you. I think this evening Eric Donovan is going to join us this hour to talk boxing, not least Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo Alvarez at the weekend. We have a bumper Lions special Wednesday night rugby, Paul O'Connell and Tyg Furlong coming your way after 8 o'clock. Dan McDonald then on the football show with much to discuss. Manchester City league champions once again. They have pretty much owned the 2010s really. And then word seems to be Eddie Hearn, or Eddie, well that would be something. Eddie Howe as opposed to Eddie Hearn is the next Celtic manager. Harry Arter played under Howe obviously at Bournemouth. So Harry's going to join us in the football show to give us the lowdown on how Howe does his business. 53106 is the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack, hello.
I would love to see Celtic's home games relocated to Eddie Hearn's back garden for the duration of next season as well. That'll be quite the vista.
Neil Treacy as well with us. Evening, Neil.
Evening, guys. How are you doing?
We're very well. So let's get going because we're busy this evening. Eric Donovan waiting in the wings. The news round on Off the Ball and News Talk with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette made of what matters. Richie, you're starting with the return. I mean, as if Dundalk didn't have enough problems, they're going to have to watch Richie Towell tear it up for Shamrock Rovers now.
Yeah, they are. Shamrock Rovers confirming the signing this evening of Richie Towell. It's believed the former Dundalk star has signed a 3.5-year contract at Tallaght Stadium. Towell made 23 appearances for Salford City this season as they narrowly missed out on a place in the League 2 playoffs. The 29-year-old isn't eligible until July 1st, but wouldn't you know it, the first game for which he is eligible for the Hoops is against Dundalk on July the 2nd.
What's your read on this, Rich?
A good signing, but to be honest with you, like it's a Shamrock Rovers side that is laden with players of his ilk. I know, for instance, Ronan Finn has kind of dropped deeper. He would have operated in around that, behind the striker kind of role before. They have Danny Mandrew, who's setting the world alight following his move from Bohemians in the close season, and there are others. I mean, they've got Aaron Green, Graham Burke, and sundry other options up top, but he kind of adds that little bit of X factor, that little bit of nuance and skill and guile in midfield that could unlock defences in the second half of the season. Like a fantastic signing, brilliant to have him on board. But yeah, like the Rovers are absolutely imperious in terms of their options up front. I know Neil Farrugia's suffered another setback in his injury, so that I guess will be the opening for Towell to make his way into the squad. But yeah, it just adds to their plethora of riches that they have at the moment.
Okay. Dundalk did have some COVID worries of their own.
Yeah, they have confirmed that a number of their players engaged in a breach of COVID-19 protocols. Some of the squad travelled to Belfast on Saturday, leading to first-team training being cancelled earlier this week. The club say those involved have apologised for what they've called a serious error of judgment. After all COVID-19 tests returned negative this week, the HSE has given the go-ahead for Dundalk to field the first team against Finn Harps in Ballybuffet on Friday evening.
Okay. Football this evening?
Yeah, Chelsea can take another step towards a Champions League return tonight. They welcome London rivals Arsenal to the Emirates, where kickoff is at 8:15. Team use for that will be landing in around about 9 minutes' time. While Davy Fitzgerald insists that he's made no decision on whether to stay on as Wexford Hurling manager beyond the end of this year. The former Clare goalkeeper is heading into his 5th season with the Model County, having led them to Leinster Championship glory in 2019. Fitzgerald has told OTB AM in an interview you can hear in full tomorrow morning that his future will be largely decided by how they fare on the pitch this year.
Look for things to say and right, and I can't do it. I've said it to you, I can't do anything about that. But I'm realist, and I think we haven't done too bad. And what's going to happen in 2021, I don't know. Like, if we can stay in the top number of teams, then I think that's very good for Wexford. Then you have an opportunity. And if not, then like you'll evaluate everything at the end of the year, and you just see, okay, can I get more out of this team? Can I not? Do they need to change? Do they not? But that won't be anyone else's decision. Only probably the chairman of Wexford and myself, we'll talk about it and we'll be realistic. That's what we've always done.
There we are. You know, it's summertime, Neil. Bit of Davy Fitz in our lives.
It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? And like, I suppose the Davy, it seems like every single year we've had the this is the end of the road now for Davy and Wexford. They've got to being very close to getting over that last step towards a final or a semi-final, and I'm sure it would have been difficult to walk away after last season, given the way everything worked out with the way the championship was structured and things like that. But I think it's always going to be a very difficult one for him to walk away, because you always get the feeling they're going to be getting there or thereabouts. And unless they actually probably get over the line and make an All-Ireland final, or who knows, not even win an All-Ireland, that there's probably going to be an element, like a touch in his head of an unfinished business sort of mentality. And he obviously has a massive kinship with the players as well. Like, you just have, like, you hear the way the players talk about him. Any interviews they've done over the last few years, he's always been a player's manager. So I think it's always going to be very, very hard to pull that plaster off if and when it happens.
Yeah, that interview tomorrow morning, OTB AM, all our social channels, all the usual places. Now, Jurgen Klopp's been talking, Rich, ahead of Old Trafford tomorrow.
Yeah, and he insists he has no issue with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer fielding a weakened Manchester United team last night. United lost 2-1 to Leicester to not only hand the Premier League title to Manchester City, but also damage Liverpool's Champions League hopes. Liverpool head to Old Trafford tomorrow night for what will be United's 3rd game in 5 days. 10 changes were made by Solskjaer last night, and Klopp says he would have taken similar action as Solskjaer if roles were reversed.
To play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday is a crime. It is. And if but it's not the fault of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the players. So if my question was to myself, would I have done the same? Yes, you have to. You have to. We are late in the season. All the players have a lot of teams. United went to the European League final. That means an awful lot of games. And now you get Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's not possible.
I think he was always going to say this. Jurgen Klopp, Manchester United might have done more, but ultimately Liverpool's issue is created by their own misfortune and poor play at times this season, Neil. But secondly, if Jurgen Klopp has a war he wants to win, it's against too many games.
Yeah, and like, he's been fairly consistent on that all season, and it would have been a bit odd if he was to come out today, given the railing he's done against the TV companies over the course of this season, talking about the way they've been scheduling games, if he had to come out and complain about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's totally reasonable as well that Solskjaer will be, making 10 changes or even 11 changes if he'd done it last night, because the notion of playing on a Sunday 2 days later and then 2 days later, like, it is absolutely ludicrous to expect him to field a first 11 on each of those games when you're at a stage when, like, let's be honest, the title race was pretty much done and dusted. They have a final to think ahead of in a few weeks' time. Like, I know it is in part because of the way their game against Liverpool had to be postponed, but it's not. It's hardly their fault that the games have been scheduled this way.
No. So, Rich, Virgil van Dijk is not going to rush things.
No, he's not staying with Liverpool, as you mentioned there. Virgil van Dijk confirming today he would not entertain a call-up to the Netherlands Euro 2020 squad this summer. The Dutch defender is entering the final stages of his recovery from a serious knee injury that's seen him miss most of this season, but Van Dijk has opted to train his focus on Liverpool's pre-season rather than the Euros with Frank de Boer's side.
That is music to Liverpool fans' ears, I would think. I mean, he could have been so easily tempted to give it a go. So rest up, come back good in the start of the pre-season, as opposed to coming back botched again. Meanwhile, news on Celtic.
Yeah, they have drawn the ire of fans groups today after removing Palestinian flags from the North Curve at Parkhead. The Green Brigade group was showing its support for Palestine, which has been under increased attack from Israeli forces this week. However, Celtic say they only wanted to allow fans access to display tributes to Scott Brown, who plays his final home game tonight against St Johnstone. The club has described the display of those flags as unacceptable.
Yeah, they were never going to stand over that, were they? Ryan Johansson, meanwhile.
Irish after all. It's he's set for a call up to Jim Crawford's Republic of Ireland under-21 squad in the summer. They've got 3 matches, as we mentioned last night, in Spain this coming June. The Sevilla midfielder was denied a change of allegiance to Ireland, having played for Luxembourg's under-21s prior to applying for an Irish passport. Johansson had played, of course, for Ireland at underage level, including under-19s. He was born to an Irish mother and Swedish father in Luxembourg, and appealed the ruling 18 months ago, as his preference was to play for Ireland. The appeal was denied at the time, but FIFA have now changed that eligibility ruling, and Irish administrators have informed the midfielder of the change, and it seems as if he wants to join up with the squad this summer.
Okay. Dan McDonald's on the way after 9. We'll ask Dan what he makes of Johansson, how good this guy is. I haven't really seen too much of him myself. Either of you guys?
No, he's been loaned out. He signed for Sevilla from Bayern there last summer, and then given his age profile and all that kind of stuff, was loaned out to their second team, which I think are operating in the second tier in Spain. Has played a bunch of games for them. I think he's played 16, 17 games for them this season, but I could be lying if I said I saw any of them, or if I'd be lying if I said I saw much of tiny clips online about his from his under-19 performances with Ireland. But from people who know their stuff, seems to be quite a bit of promise behind him. But unfortunately, we've heard that a lot about 19-year-olds over the past 20 years or so.
So Eric Donovan on the way this hour, Tyg Furlong and Paul O'Connell on the way after 8, Dan McDonald on the way after 9, and like I said, Harry Arter joins us as well. Tyg Furlong tried to tell me, Neil, he was bricking it ahead of the Lions announcement. I quickly told him, would you stop?
Yeah, like, I'm sure there was an element of nervousness, but he had to have been, like, he was one of the, you'd probably say 3 or 4 100% nailed on selections.
Yeah.
To make that. It did, like, the hearing people talk over the last few days about players who did make it and players who didn't make it, I am absolutely fascinated by the idea that, like, they actually do not know until they're sitting down watching it on Sky Sports News whether or not they're going on it. And, like, you would have seen the videos that a couple of clubs, I think a couple of Premiership clubs were putting them out, like they were filming the lads in the canteen watching it on TV, and obviously great scenes. I remember it was Gloucester who put up the video of Lewis Rees-Zammit finding out he was called up, Chris Harris as well finding out he was called up. But I'm really interested to, like, unfortunately you can't see where someone like Johnny May was in that. Someone who is playing for Gloucester would have been in that canteen as well. A lot of people would have been expecting him to be getting there. He was desperately hoping, I would imagine as well, that he was going to be there. Like, how tough is that to be sitting there amongst all your teammates, having to give the pats on the back as well to Chris Harris, who probably not too many people expected to be going, to a young fella like Lewis Rees-Zammit as well, and having to sit there and be the good teammate when you're absolutely probably choking up inside.
It is amazing how quiet they keep it, because quite a few people would have to know who the makeup of the squad, even the TV production, all of that stuff. You know,
that's what I was just going to ask.
It must be one of the last, one of the close to last things in life, let alone sport, which isn't just leaked to the high heavens in advance. It's absolutely incredible that it's still so tightly kept.
Neil, you know this more than me. Like, do you know the way they're all pictured in the jersey when the announcement was made there last week for the big grand television production? Like, are they genuine photos, or are they photoshopped, or did they send out like 60 odd jerseys in January and go, listen, throw this on, we might be talking to you in May? Because, like, you'd wonder about from that side of things. But on the Furlong bricking it, like, I'd fully believe it. Like, you look at some of the selections last week, be it Sexton being left out, or be it Sam Simmons being picked ahead of somebody like Kyle Sinclair. Like, there was every reason to suggest that was a 50-50 call for as brilliant a player as Tyg Furlong is. No. There's an element of, well, what the hell is this guy doing with this selection when some of the names are called?
He had as good a chance of going as Warren Gatland. It was fairly nailed down. It was fair. We would have been, like, geez, you thought we were angry over Brian O'Driscoll. So yeah, I don't know, Neil. I mean, I know they all get letters out, obviously, and I think they, from reading Johnny Sexton's Lions diary a couple of years ago, they definitely have measurements taken for gear and all that in advance. So they all get the letter or the email, like almost like a hold the date type thing. So I presume it's some kind of green screen effect, Neil.
Yeah, I was thinking were they photoshops, and then I realised with certain players, you obviously had tattoos and stuff were visible, that it was definitely that person wearing the jersey. And I probably suspect it was like Richie, one of the second things Richie said there, where it was probably a case of maybe at the start of the Six Nations when they're all getting their squad pictures taken or something, there's a Lions jersey handed out to everyone, throw that on, we get the photo and we put it away if and when it happens.
Oh, do you think so? I actually thought
I'd say something along those lines, I'd say.
I would have thought they just photoshopped the jersey over their national jersey. We must ask them.
It's now looking at it. If they did that, without wanting to be arsy, it was too good a job.
Too good a job. Okay.
They look really natural. It looks like a dude wearing a jersey rather than one just pasted over on top of something else. Because you're able to tell these things.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how they managed to keep it all under wraps so much. Tyke Furlong, Paul O'Connell on the way after 8 o'clock. Eric Donovan this hour. The Olympics then, there was some kind of press conference, was it, Rich? And it was hijacked?
It was indeed. The International Olympic Committee today says it fully concentrates on delivering the Games in Tokyo this summer, despite concerns over rising coronavirus cases. The Japanese government has extended its state of emergency in the capital and other areas until the end of this month. A recent opinion poll in Japan showed strong support for the Olympics to be cancelled. 300,000 people have signed a protest letter against it, but the IOC Executive Board says the delayed Games will take place as planned this summer. Just 10 weeks to go. Meanwhile, a protester from No Olympics LA crashed today's IOC press conference.
I'm sorry, I've not got the surname. David O'Brien, sorry. David O'Brien, your question, please.
No Olympics anywhere. No Olympics anywhere. The Olympics. We don't want the Olympics anywhere. You just turn him off. That'll be someone obviously who's not.
David O'Brien, did they say? Irish name. Can we claim that guy? He sounded American.
Get him signed up. Yeah, no, he is American. There's a group that's protesting against the Olympics being in Los Angeles in 2028, given the massive cost of these things and the money that could be better spent elsewhere. But managing to get into one of these things, you mentioned about the Lions announcement being kept under wraps. These things are tougher to get into than Fort Knox sometimes in terms of accreditation. So how he blagged being some randomer from Yahoo and then got to making his statements online to the literal dozens of people watching around the world is quite another thing.
Oh, well, can I give a shout out? This was on TikTok today. My wife showed it to me. I don't know. I presume this. My
wife showed it to me.
No, well, it's true. If I go on TikTok, it's like a lost half hour of my life. I mean, minimum. So, Penny's is back open.
Oh yes,
yeah. This was just. I mean, I applauded this.
Joke.
Penny's was back open, but you have to make an appointment, obviously, to get in, because everybody's itching to get back to Penny's, obviously. And so this woman on TikTok, she was saying, I don't have an appointment, but I really, I need to get there big time. So she got hold of a Penny's uniform and put on the uniform and got out of her car at Liffey Valley and strolled by the queue. Hi, everyone, I work here, no problem. Gets into Penny's, zips up her coat, does her shopping, strolls on out, and as she said herself afterwards, she was buzzing. And it was genius. It was genius. So there we go. This and breaking into International Olympic Committee press conferences to be applauded. The Japanese situation is kind of serious, though, at the moment. I mean, 60% voted against having the Olympics. They have recorded more than 600,000 cases, more than 10,500 deaths, the highest in East Asia, I was reading. And on Saturday, it was reported more than 7,000 infections on Saturday alone. So that's the highest since January. So they are in the thick of it, the highest number of infections since January. And they've only vaccinated 2% of the 126 million population. So understandably, the people of Japan are saying, we have bigger problems right now.
Yeah, and a lot of those vaccinations are still warehoused as well. They are, and they should be available to the general populace, and the government have been accused of playing politics with people's health over there and not releasing them. The fact that, I think it was an AP report, said that only 1% are fully vaccinated. I think 2% in total probably have had some form of vaccination, but 1% fully vaccinated for a country of its scale, given what they have on their plate in 10 weeks' time, is nothing short of criminal.
Just one last one. Friend of the show, Dahi Regan. The boy has done good.
Absolutely has. The Ospreys have confirmed the signing of Irish lock Jack Regan on a 3-year deal today. The son of Offaly's All-Ireland winner Daithí Regan, who you hear at the top of the show every evening, makes the move to the Welsh club after playing for the Highlanders in Super Rugby this term. The 24-year-old says that he now has a great opportunity to learn alongside Lions captain Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yeah, amazing. Wish him well. We'll try and get him on the show at some stage. Fellas, we are done for this evening. Many thanks. Neil Treacy, thank you.
Cheers.
Richie, thanks a mil.
God bless.
We have Eric Donovan next.
All this tippy-tappy stuff, everybody keeps going about the right way to play football is all a load of bollocks sometimes. So getting the ball in the opposition's box as quickly as you can with quality and getting it forward and in behind the opposition is definitely sometimes the best way forward.
West Ham United has played 71% of the long balls to the forwards and we 49. And then you go to Big Sam and maybe he can give a good interpretation.
That's what he wants. He can't take it, can he? He can't take it, he just can't take it.